Hello, Robs. We're back with new book arrivals. Going to guess it's number 273, which is incredible, but there we are. I've seen a lot of Robert B. Parker books, and I know he's probably dead now. I think he's dead, but I've never heard of the God Wolf manuscript, and for good reason. This book actually has some value, probably $20, $30 worth, but yeah, I mean, this one almost looks readable. The God Wolf manuscript introduces the most attractive and resourceful private investigator since Raymond Chandler's Philip Marlowe, and proves that crime in Boston can be quite as lively and sinister as crime in Los Angeles. When Spencer is hired to recover a 14th century manuscript stolen from the university library, his investigations lead him to the Student Committee Against Capitalist Exploitation and its secretary, Terry Orchard. Terry, living in a state of chaotic or chronic rebellion against convention, and, oh, it's a woman, and her rich and prominent parents will cooperate with no one representing the establishment. But when her boyfriend is killed and she is framed for his murder, she calls Spencer. Actually, sounds like a pretty good book. I may read this before I sell it. It's only, what, 141 pages? How many parts are there? 1973. A portion of this book appeared in the October 1973 issue of Argosy. How many sections are there? Well, it's only 140 some pages, 150 pages, 170 pages. I may read this book. It sounds interesting, actually. And it's got a great cover. All right, we'll put this one aside before I sell it. What else do we got, bruv? Killer Toe. Anthony Witcher's Killer Toe. I mean, this is about do it as DIY as you get. About this book, Killer Toe is a very different narrative about right and wrong regarding love and redemption. The female protagonist works in a morgue. Second little novel that I've got in a row by a local author who writes about the morgue. She is experiencing personal pain, not because of her deceased clients. She has compassion for them, but she recognizes the reality of their situation. It is her personal life that gives her pain. She and her boyfriend have broken up. She experiences tremendous heartbreak. Yet, in a very unique way, the toe of one of her morgue patients plays a key role in teaching significant lessons as to how one should treat others in any relationship. One cannot find peace if one does not treat people in the right way. Indeed, the Killer Toe makes this very true. Anthony Witcher was born in Charleston, West Virginia, and grew up in Ann Arbor, Michigan. He earned his RS or BS in mechanical engineering technology from Rochester Institute of Technology. He spends time writing stories and developing mobile robots. Killer Toe is his first novel. Weird. I couldn't find this novel on the internet at all, so. Well, the best part is it's signed, too. I mean, look at this fucking cover. Look at this chick just crying her eyes out, and the toe at the morgue is going to be what saves her. To Sandy and Steve, best wishes 2016, Anthony Witcher. Great name. I'm Tony Witcher. For online purchases, all rights reserved. No part of this book may be reproduced, or transmitted in any form by any means. Well, it's going to be, because I'm going to read it on my channel here. Maybe you'll sell a few copies, Tony. Stuck. What, Ma? He said, talking into the cordless phone. Very strange. How many pages is this one? 130-ish. All right. If you've been looking forward to some more bad fiction on here, you're going to get that, and then you're going to get God Wolf manuscript by Robert B. Parker. There's a fucking championship level title for this channel. The story of Bobtown, the road to the top of the hill. The story of a town and its people and the industry and union that reigned over it. And if you were wondering, this This fucking thing stopped working. Anybody that's been following my little story, and now it doesn't work anymore. So very strange that it. I tried to do the alarm thing, but that just sends off a wild. No, now it's gonna work. Are you fucking kidding me? So maybe the alarm was set. I wonder how long the alarm has. This thing's all kinds of busted except yesterday when it started working. It's working. All right, anyway, back to the books. The story of Bobtown, the road to the top of the hill, the story of a town and its people, and the industry and union that reigned over it. From all appearances, Bobtown is in Pennsylvania. This is the story of a town, a coal mining town nestled among the hills of southwestern Pennsylvania. A town that lived, loved, and adhered to the dictates of the need for coal. A town that rose and fell as the triumvirate of management, union, and family cast tiring demands on the shoulders of the miner, a condition over which he had little control. Bobtown. That's a lot of writing for a little place called Bobtown. I don't know if this guy was from Bobtown, but written by Robert Bennett of Sun City West, Arizona. So maybe he retired and moved to Arizona. Mary and John, it's great knowing you. I hope you enjoy the Bobtown story. I hope you do too, buddy. All right. Aunt Joe's Scrap Bag by Louisa M. Elcott. Nice color illustration. Grosset and Dunlap, that's usually where old classics went in the early 1900s. Well, the first half anyways. This says 29, but who knows if it's 29 or not. There is one story in here that was a ghost story, so that might be interesting. What was it? Rosa's Tale? 110. No, it wasn't Rosa's Tale. One of these is a ghost story. Maybe it's Clams. Little Mary Marie of Lahan. Clams? Yeah, it's Clams, a ghost story. Grosset and Dunlap. See if there's any trade stamps in here. Nothing. What else do we got here? New Mansions for New Men by Dane Rudhyar. New Mansions for New Men by Dane Rudhyar. Survar Vasanar to Maya. 1971. And as you can see, it's some kind of to breathe, to own, to know. Some kind of like spiritualist philosophy. To understand, to achieve, to release, to improve, to relate, to renew, to transfigure. Saturn, Lord of Boundaries, music of the spheres. All that kind of good shit. Eighth Mansion, to renew. Colette. The Complete Claudine. Claudine at School, Claudine and Perry, Claudine the Married, Claudine and Annie. The stories that inspired the film Colette. Obviously a reprint, translated from the French by Antonia White. The paradoxes of great literature are those of human nature, and Colette is nothing if not human. Accessible and elusive, greedy and austere, courageous and timid, subversive and complacent, scorchingly honest and sublimely mendacious, an inspired consoler and an existential pessimist. These are the qualities of the artist and the woman. It is time to rediscover them. Pretty good looking. Fugitive Days, Memoirs of an Anti-War Activist, Bill Ayers. For anyone who wants to think hard about the social conflagration, or is that conflagration? I always call it conflagration because I'm a champ. Actually, it is conflagration because there is no A after G, except after R. The Vietnam War produced in the U.S. and more generally about a citizen's obligations in troubled times. Ayers' powerful, morally charged account of a life and a society and the political balance is provocative reading. Doesn't he bros with Barack? Barry Soetoro. Distinguished professor. Wasn't this guy part of a bombing thing? Or am I making that up? I do believe he was part of a bombing. It's okay, though. He's liberal. He can bomb people. Pioneers, Reformers, and Millionaires. Elizabeth A. Homer. 25-cent book, so I could not pass it up. Let's see what it's about. Elizabeth Homer writes with excitement and passion about two generations of the Marion and James Turner family, Lansing's first family. I didn't know it was Michigan. All right, that's cool. Actually, this was a 50-cent book I got at the Motown thrift store. Lansing's first family, revealing their state and national leadership in social issues as complex as abolition, suffrage, higher education for women, and temperance. And I do love the revisionist history where every motherfucker in Victorian times was part of the Underground Railroad. Every person. And if they weren't, they're suspected of having been part of the Underground Railroad, which I think is just a lot of, nobody can prove it, but if we say it enough times, it makes this person look better. I've noticed that a lot in local history. People are always saying, he was part of the Underground Railroad. Sure he was. That's why black people were not allowed to work in, especially Detroit, like the Detroit Free Press, which is a liberal paper, is renowned for being just awful against black people in the time of after the Civil War. So I don't know who was being nice to him. I know Eber Brock Ward, the first millionaire in Detroit. He actually hired a crew of black sailors. So I know he was helping, but not many others were. Special bonus. Want this bonus book for free? Get free unlimited access to it in all of my new books by joining the fan base. No. The Cats of Ireland. An Irish gift for cat lovers with legends, tales, and trivia galore by Seamus Malarkey. Fucking cat drinks a Guinness with a top hat. Or is that a top hat that Leprechaun wears? Cats in art. Irish catnip farmers. I wonder if you can grow catnip in your yard. Been meaning to look into that. This book looks like it's undergone some what do you call it? Moisture exposure. Tuning into the afterlife. How to stay in touch with the flip side. Play a guitar, little angel. Richard Martini. This is the 9th book of Richard Martini's journey into the flip side. Starting with Flipside, a tourist guide on how to navigate the afterlife. Richard has been filming people under hypnosis talking about the afterlife, as well as filming people not under hypnosis talking about the afterlife. He's done interviews with mediums who work with law enforcement agencies nationwide on missing person cases. Backstage Pass to the Flip Side with Jennifer Schaefer, books 1, 2, and 3. He and Jennifer have a podcast where they weekly speak directly to folks no longer on the planet. Hackingtheafterlife.com. All right, well, maybe we'll check this out. Definitely not reading it. Maybe it's not, doesn't look actually long. It's mostly just dialogue, and it's not like full sentences. Well, not full sentences, but not full paragraphs of text. Maybe we will look into that. This one, The Enigma Woman, the death sentence of Nellie Mae Madison. Who was she? Crackshot, Enigma Woman, good with ponies and pistols, a much married woman. What if such an unconventional woman, and the press unanimously agreed that Nellie Mae Madison was indeed unconventional, were to get away with murder? Shortly after her husband's bullet-riddled body was found in the couple's Burbank apartment, police issued an all-points bulletin for the beautiful dark-haired widow. I don't know about beautiful. She's not bad looking, but I don't know about beautiful. The ensuing drama unfolded with all the strange twists and turns of a noir crime novel. In this intriguing cultural history, Kathleen A. Carnes tells the true tale of the first woman sentenced to death in California, Nellie Mae Madison. Her story offers a glimpse into law and disorder in 1930s Los Angeles, while bringing to life a remarkable character whose plight reflects on the status of women, the workings of the media and the judiciary system, and the stratification of society in her time. An intriguing cultural history, Cairns' recreation of the case from murder to trial to aftermath casts an eye forward to our own love-hate affair with celebrity crimes and our abiding ambivalence about domestic violence as a defense for murder. Sounds interesting. This book, I think I saw it twice at the same thrift store in back-to-back weeks, but I also noticed that it had a 1 on it, so I just said, I'm going to leave it there, and then I saw it yesterday. I looked it up, and it's actually worth some money. It's apparently translated from the Russian, the Ringing Cedars series. Never heard of it. Available in the beautiful English. When was it originally written, or is this a current author? I picked it up for 70 cents. On a trade trip to the Siberian taiga in 1995, Vladimir Megre learned about sacred ringing cedar trees of unusual healing power. He spent 3 days with a woman named Anastasia, who shared with him her unique outlook on gardening, child-rearing, healing, nature, sexuality, religion, and more. Deeply transformed by this wilderness experience, Vladimir wrote this book about the spiritual insights Anastasia had so generously shared with him. True to her promise, this life-changing book has become an international bestseller and has touched hearts of millions of people worldwide. Weird. Never heard of these. But I will now be on the lookout for them because I've seen the entire 9 books written by this guy sold for like $700. I mean, what the fuck? So yeah, I'll definitely be looking for these. Flying saucers, nothing extraordinary. Thought this was like a fiction book, but apparently it's like real. Is this her? Anastasia. Yeah, apparently it's a sought-after book. Unstuck in Time, A Journey Through Kurt Vonnegut's Life and Novels by Gregory D. Sumner. A wonderful primer to Kurt Vonnegut's work. Every page brims with analytic insight, biographical revelation, and old-fashioned storytelling. Engaging, almost spellbinding. The grand old man would have liked this book, and I can sense his blessing on it. Professor Jerome Klinkowitz. Sumner's biography straddles the artistic and the personal to deliver a biography that skillfully contextualizes Vonnegut's body of work. First and foremost, however, it is an effortless embodiment of the author's anti-establishment spirit. Boris Karloff presents More Tales of the Frightened. There's Boris, text by Robert Laurie. The cat. I paid $2 for it, which was probably a ripoff, but who knows? I can afford it. I sold $60 in books this week, so don't be afraid. All you can lose is your mind. The Master of Chills, Horror and Thrills is back to haunt you with a collection of tales that may indeed prove too terrifying for mortal men. Vengeful phantoms, corpses that refuse to remain buried, gourmet vampires. The fuck is a gourmet vampire? Maniacal clowns, sacrificial victims, voodoo warlocks. These are just some of the ghoulish cast of characters destined to stalk your dreams. And let us not forget their grisly props, their drams of poison, killer bats, creaking gallows, and things that go bump in the night. So if you have a weak heart or a spine that is too easily chilled, perhaps you had better reconsider. We would not want to bear responsibility for anything unfortunate that might occur when Boris Karloff presents more tales of the frightened. See if they give any authors' names. Nah, they do, but you got to look through them. Malcolm Hatch, never heard of. Grains of Death, Frankie Ventura. I'll probably read this book at some point. The Story of Charles Dell. In fact, I might read this book soon. Albert Winston. Oh, these are just stories. So who wrote this? Levy? Text by Robert Laurie. I put this on the reading list. Oh. Reasonable Doubt. A true story of lust and murder in the American heartland. Convicted murderer freed from prison after 7 years. Shocking new update. Just the sticker falling off. Got a problem down here? Bloomington, Illinois. Police officer Hibbins didn't sound like himself. His voice cracked. There's something you ought to see. The scene awaiting the other policemen as they entered the charming suburban house at 313 Carl Drive was one they would never forget. 3 children and their mother lay hacked to death in their beds, their sheets and walls soaked in blood. A butcher knife and an axe lay nearby. There appeared to be no physical evidence, and the detective at first suspected a bungled robbery, but as the police sifted clues and questioned friends and family members, an appalling possibility presented itself. Could David Hendricks, the grief-stricken father, away on a business trip, have methodically killed his wife and children before he left? And why would a successful businessman and devoted member of a fundamentalist religious group want his family eliminated? The prosecution painted a darker picture of David Hendricks. Convicted by his first jury, awarded a new trial, a second jury has now concluded that David Hendricks had not been proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. I'll be giving that off to me mother. The Age of the Railway by Harold Perkin. I don't know where in the hell I got this book from. It must have been a cheap one or I wouldn't have picked it up. I think this was a 25-cent book. I don't know. The saga of the first construction and widespread use of the railways was the most spectacular. Can't even talk. Anyways, you all know what a fucking railroad is. Viktor E. Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. I'm searching to sell this book because it's in good condition. And it's a big-time seller on eBay, so you don't really need to know about that. Perfect Victim. The true story of the girl in the box by the DA who prosecuted her captor, Christine McGuire and Carla Norton. True crime at its most shocking, most harrowing, and most thought-provoking. As the pages are falling out. It's a problem with mass market paperbacks. In 1977, 20-year-old Colleen Stan left home from Oregon to California. 7 years later, she emerged from hell, the victim of a bizarre and extraordinary crime. Here's a hint to all women. Don't hitchhike from Oregon to California. In fact, don't hitchhike anywhere unless you're a crackhead and you need some crack. Because then you could probably get some crack. This is Colleen's incredible true story told by the determined young district attorney who prosecuted the man who had forced her to endure years of sexual perversion and held her captive in a coffin-like box under his and his wife's bed. God damn. Hey, honey, what's that sound? It's probably just bugs. A story of riveting psychological intensity and gripping courtroom drama. Perfect Victim reveals the whole truth about Colleen Stan's real-life nightmare and the psychopath who enslaved her body and her mind. Dear Theo, a powerful self-portrait, the artist's intimate letters to his brother, edited by Irving Stone with Jean Stone, the author of Lust for Life and the Agony and the Ecstasy. A great book, the greatness of a man in his own words. Poor Theo. Yeah, Vincent van Gogh. Why'd they call him Theo? Is Theo short for Vincent? Or is Theo his middle name? The Amityville Horror, a true story by Jay Anson. Everyone knows this book as well. Like I said, I believe these books were 10 cents. I don't know where the fuck. Or maybe I already covered these. Where did I get these? I know I got them for really cheap, but I just don't know where. Can't recall. I believe it was Saturday. Maybe it was an estate sale. Anyway, I'll probably read that on the channel eventually. An Afternoon in Waterloo Park by Gerald Dumas. He is what Thornton Wilder did for everyday life in early 20th century New England with Our Town. Gerald Dumas achieves for mid-century, mid-America with Waterloo Park. A real and honest evocation of going home. A complex lyrical story of life on Dickerson Avenue in Detroit. Waterloo Park is recollected from the surface of childhood and pondered from the depths of mature experience. Gerald Dumas, author and writer for High and Lois and Beetle Bailey comic strips, grew up on Detroit's east side. Now living in Connecticut, he writes a regular column for the Greenwich News. And weirdly enough, it's a memoir, but it's in poetry form. So I'm not sure how that's going to play out. Would like to read this one too, just because I am located in the Detroit area. Go, bro. Should we go? 1917. All right. There's a great book. Peace, Prosperity, and the Coming Holocaust. So it's going to be a great time other than the fucking Holocaust. The New Age Movement and Prophecy by Dave Hunt. I believe this guy wrote about cults. I believe I have books on the cult by him. The Cults. Yeah. Recognized cult expert. Planet Earth is on the brink of an incredible change, but for good or evil. Will there be total economic collapse followed by nuclear holocaust? Oh, he means a nuclear holocaust, not like a murdering of peoples. Let's see what year this was. 83. So I'm going to guess that his predictions were way off. Let's see what he says about the Antichrist. And to preface this, there's a lot of what's it called? Biblical, what's it called when they predict like the future? Anyways, there's a lot of biblical prophecy that states that the end times start when Russia invades Israel. So that's why people are always promoting hating Russia, and I guess people hate Israel now too. So maybe they'll invade them, and then that'll be the end. And the Antichrist, question mark. In spite of the overwhelming evidence, the New Age denies that Jesus is the Christ. As we have already seen, this denial is the primary identification of the spirit of Antichrist. Benjamin Cream tells us very boldly that the Christ he is promoting, Lord Maitreya, is not Jesus. thus clearly identifying the spirit that motivates him and the Tara centers that paid for those full-page ads. Jesus, says Crane, was reincarnated, apparently several times, not resurrected, after his crucifixion, and presently lives in a Syrian body, 640 years old. According to the Aquarian conspiracy, the new world of peace and prosperity will be brought about through a transformation of consciousness. This is the key to human evolution. And parallel to this is the teaching that the only thing that made Jesus the Christ for his day, i.e., during that lifetime, was that he had attained to a higher state of consciousness called Christ consciousness. According to New Age thinking, we all have the potential to attain this state and thus to become christened ones. Although the human potential movement, founded by Abraham Maslow, generally does not refer to our potential as Christ consciousness, the same basic concept is contained in the slogan, "Human potential is unlimited." Under the Black Flag, I've already not reviewed it, but did a brief overview of it. I have 3 or 4 copies. I need to stop buying it, but every time I see the cover, I'm like, fuck that. I'm getting another book on the pirates, the same book I already have. In my defense, I think I have 3 different editions, so that works in my favor. Pendulum Magic for Beginners by Richard Webster. Power to achieve all goals. Tap your inner wisdom. Find lost objects. Focus energy for self-improvement. Who from this life was with you in the previous life? These motherfuckers follow you in different lives? Where did you live? Were you male or female? This step is an easy one to do. All the same, ask the pendulum about both male and female, as this helps to check your progress. What was your name? Oh, we got a diagram. We only read pictures here. What the hell is it? What's this? Placement of the various chakras. A, root. B, sacral. C, solar. D, heart. E, throat. F, brow. And G, crown. Right. The Cat's Pajamas, a fabulous fictionary of familiar phrases. Why is it a fictionary? The whimsical and imagined origins of more than 300 figures of speech. So this is totally made up. What the fuck? From ants in his pants to catching some Z's. I wonder if this is kind of like a devil's dictionary sort of thing. For all the Alex who want to bone up on the kit and caboodle of mumbo jumbo in the English language, a book that will make you happy as a clam. Everybody knows that to be ecstatically, deliriously happy is to be happy as a clam. But where did the phrase come from? And what a clam? And why a clam? Why not a dog, cat, or canary? The mystery finally drove Ted to Leah to search for some plausible explanations. And when the experts came up empty-handed, he proceeded to create his own. In The Cat's Pajamas, he has painstakingly provided the hilarious histories of those phrases most often poised on the tip of the populist tongue. You will never again have to wonder how these expressions found their way into English. I thought this was just going to be another one of those books, but it's not another one of those books. Francis X. Weiser, The Christmas Book. The story of the celebration of Christmas, the growth of its many customs, through the ages to present day American festivities. Can't wait to get this. Oh, look, it peels right off. Nice. I want to see the cover. Yeah, that was nice at one point. And now it's got the dander of dead tape on it. I can save her. That's enough of that shit. What year is this book? I believe it was from a church library that it came from. What year? 1952, copyright. What's it? Von Trapp? To the memory of a cherished friend, George Von Trapp. Let's see who checked it out. Damn, the 1960s. Last checkout, 1968. St. Rose High School Library, wherever that is. Finally, The Wicked River, The Mississippi When It Last Ran Wild, by Lee Sandlin. Lush, exuberant, action-packed, and history-drenched, Sandlin has brought the river back home again. Chicago Tribune. There he is. Fucking Santa Claus Jr. A riveting narrative look at one of the most colorful, dangerous, and peculiar places in America's historical landscape. The strange, wonderful, and mysterious Mississippi River of the 19th century. Beginning in the early 1800s and climaxing with the Siege of Vicksburg in 1863, Wicked River brings to life a place where river pirates brush elbows with future presidents and religious visionaries, share passage with thieves. Here is a minute-by-minute account of Natchez being flattened by a tornado, the St. Louis harbor being crushed by a massive ice flow, hidden nefarious celebrations of Mardi Gras, and the sinking of the Sultana, the worst naval disaster in American history. Here, too, is the Mississippi itself, gorgeous, perilous, and unpredictable. Masterfully told, Wicked River is an exuberant work of Americana that portrays a forgotten society on the edge of revolutionary change. That's it. It's all the books I believe I got in the last day or two. Or 3. All right, props. That's all. Goodbye.